Call this meeting to order. I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any changes to the agenda? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Open forum. Is there anybody that would like to approach open forum, speak to anything?
That young lady right there, maybe? Oh, I guess not.
All right. We're in the consent agenda, approval of the minutes, approval of bills and purchase orders, approval of the investments, donation resolutions, donation resolution number 2019-26, $50 from Craig Lemberek towards the Melrose Fire Department, or Melrose Ambulance Department. Resolution number 2019-27, a donation of $500 from the Melrose Lions towards the Riverfest celebration. Resolution number 2019-32, a donation of a 1952 Ford fire truck previously owned from the Melrose Fire Department from John Albritton. Resolution number 2019-33, antique fire equipment from Craig Renke. Thank you for all the donations from the people. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Presentations. We're going to do a couple presentations here tonight, and when we do get through with them, if anybody that doesn't want to stay, you're more than welcome to leave. We do get a little boring after a while, so, but it's sort of fun. This time of the year, the foster grandparents are here. I know firsthand, through my wife working at St. Mary's, how much help the foster grandparents are. It makes it easier for the teachers, and it's easier with the children because foster grandparents have a lot more patience than some of the teachers. So just want to just say thank you for all you do for the community and giving of yourself to help people out. And I just want to present you with just a little piece of paper. It says thank you and a flower. And I would just like to take pictures with you. So I have a list here, and when you come up, just want to give you your slip of paper here, but I'll just go through this first. How many hours that these foster grandparents do. Anita Schwinghammer, 823.50 hours. Linda Klein, 582 hours. Julie Becker, 709 hours. Jan Notch, 374.75 hours. Elaine Sawyer, 640.50 hours. Bernie Reelan, 497.50 hours. That's pretty amazing, because I don't know, there's a lot of days I don't want to spend that much time with my own kids, much less someone else's. But really appreciate for all you do for the community, and again, just want to thank you. So if you want, I would like to present you with the certificate, and just take pictures with you and give you some flowers. So I'll get your here, and then, yeah, Tony, you want to help me?
Yeah.
Roses? So we're using the red roses. Anita?
Should we ask them what they want? Red or yellow?
Thank you.
Linda? Julie? I have no sympathy for you. I know I have to work with these. Thank you. Jan? Jan's not here. That's Elaine Sawyer. Thank you so much for what you've done. Mrs. Miller? Thank you so much. Here you go, I'll give this to you. That's
Come on, be brave. Sure.
All right, all right. This is gonna hurt all the smiling. Yeah, it's gonna be-
I've been trying to. Okay. Thank you, guys.
For this next one, we're first gonna, the state speech champion in storytelling, Ms. Schaefer. Are you gonna put on your whole skit for us? No, okay, all right. I wouldn't force you to do that, but no, it's exciting to see another state champion. Want to help us with the yellow roses? Nice job.
You want to shake your hand?
Okay.
Please.
We have to do it again in a few seconds. Is your coach here?
Yeah, she's.
Oh, good, because she has to come up and speak. So. And then, state Class A speech team state champions. That is so exciting. So I suppose we're going to have to change the billboard again, right? Yes. Well, that's what it's for. So, would you like to come up and explain to us about your year? We want to learn more. Yes, come on up. You can speak. You can be the center of attention for a little bit. But yeah, tell us about speech that people that don't know much about it.
Absolutely. So typically, our team is willing to give up their Saturdays to go and compete around the state of Minnesota. Over the last few years, we've started to go to bigger meets. There are two different classes in speech. There is Class A and there's Class AA. We go to a lot of AA tournaments, and we always tell the kids, our philosophy is that we want you to compete against the very best. And it's okay if sometimes we are the little fish in a big pond, because it's going to strengthen our team. And we definitely have noticed we have just the hardest working kids. We're so blessed to have them in our activity, and it's definitely upped our level of competition as well. At a typical speech meet, we usually have anywhere from 20 to sometimes 40 teams that attend. And over the last season, almost every meet we took first place. Sometimes we would slip and we would get second place, but still, it's pretty incredible. We don't always fly with our entire team because we want kids who are in our other activities. We want kids who are involved. So sometimes we have kids who are in basketball or wrestling, or they have swimming on a Saturday. We don't have everyone who's competing with us, and we were still that successful. So this year we took 33 students to the section tournament. They advanced from subsections, which was a new record for us. We had 19 section finalists. From the section finalists, the top 3 advanced to state in each of the 13 categories. This year we tied our record from last year with 8 advancing to the state tournament. We had Anna Kloth, Callie Schaefer, Maxwell Lurkin-Tordick, Jake Punsack, Vanessa Pung, Erica Dutcutt, Abigail Wilwarding, and Jessa Mueller. Out of the 8, we had tough competition. We advanced 6 of them to state finals, which is a pretty incredible feat. We've always been told that we are in the toughest section in Minnesota, And we traditionally see that. Our section has the most medalists every year out of any other section. So it's pretty incredible to send that many to state. Kind of the deal with state speech is that only in the last 10 or so years have we had team trophies that have actually been there. But of course, in the past, people have always kind of figured out where the placings would be if there were team trophies. And in the past, it's always been the same school. Cannon Falls has always been taking first place at state, and they are incredible. So when we were called up on stage in the top 3 teams, we were elated. We thought last year was an anomaly and that it might not happen again for us. So it was pretty cool that we were in the top 3. And once we got past 3rd place, on the top 2, we figured, wow, we got 2nd place. That's amazing. We got 2nd place to Cannon Falls. So, and we were totally fine with that. And we wound up getting 1st place, which is the first time that they have been defeated. Cannon Falls is from a different section. They advanced 22 students to state while we had 8. We had the same number go into finals. I believe they did have 1 more than us, so they had 7 and we had 6. The odds were a little bit against us the entire time, so I have to entirely give the credit to my fellow coaches who helped these kids, but mostly the awesome kids on our team, because it's truly their hard work that got them here. Callie was our 3rd ever state champion, but to take home that big trophy was a pretty big deal to us as well. I should mention too, there are 186 schools in single A. Over 90 of them were represented at the state tournament. So to get 1st place was out of that many schools.
Wow, that is amazing. Again, congratulations. I'm really proud of our students.
Do we have certificates for those yet?
Huh?
Do we have certificates for those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I just-
Yeah, so I do have some certificates to hand out to some of you, so when I come up. Me and Maxwell, you're going to get a rose tonight also, okay? So just so you know. So if you could come up when I have your name, and I'd love to take a picture with all of you when we're done with this, okay? Callie Schaefer?
Yeah, we're ready. What's that?
They couldn't find no purple roses this time. Congratulations. Nice work. Erica Deckett? Vanessa Plum? Anna Close? Maxwell? Abigail Wilberding? Tessa Mueller? Jake Twinsack here? Oh, there you are. picture?
Ready?
Again, make sure you tell Mr. Ruoff I'd like to see that billboard change for you guys, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Well, the next one I really do not want to do because I don't think 36 years is enough for someone to be on the ambulance department. So, Lori, you've done a lot of training, even on all of us firefighters. I think I went through refresher 11 times with you, and we're sure going to miss it because you have a common sense approach to the way you teach, which I love, and sure going to miss that. And I think Jen should come up and tell us a little bit of history on you so that the citizens of Melrose know what they're going to be missing out.
All right, so Lori is got 3 shifts left, and she will have put in 36 years on the ambulance department. I have been fortunate enough to work with Lori for almost 19, so 18 years. So half of Lori's career I have been with her. Prior to me coming on the department, Lori has been the coordinator. She's been the assistant coordinator. She's done a ton of teaching from first responder to CPR classes, and just overall has always been that person that I would say, how did we used to do it if I didn't know? Things have changed a lot, obviously, over the years. I appreciate her years of service. She's really helped us out. This has been a really tough decision for her on whether to finally do this. I think she's been telling me for the past 3 or 4 years, I'm retiring this year. And I finally got to the point was, okay, Lori. And this year she said in March, I have a date. And I said, okay, Lori. And she said, no, I do, May 31st. So I've had the privilege to work with her. A lot of our members have learned a lot from her. It's time for her to enjoy her family and be with them, and we really have appreciated her.
So how many of us have been trained or have had some classes with Lori? Raise your hands. There's a lot of people here that you've touched, Lori. We're going to miss you. So I do have a plaque for you, and I was hoping you could come up and I could take a picture with you.
You got a few roses left, too.
Come on, go ahead, show us how you want it done. I know, that's what I'm trying to do, so you don't have to stand like that long. Especially, the three, first responder.
I've taught pretty much from Albany all the way to Sun Center, almost every fireman that there's out there, so.
You don't want to mess with Lori at all.
I'm tough.
Take a few.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on to reports. Chief Mouse?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. For our April 2019 statistics in the traffic area, we had 41 citations, 111 verbal warnings, 9 written warnings. For 2019, we had 384 calls or requests for service. Last year, we had 441. We ended 2019 on ICR 1535, and last year was 1528. So we're up by 7 calls overall, but we had a drop of 57 during the month of April. Part of that was related to nuisance ordinances starting in April last year instead of May. So you'll see those numbers come back up again. Related to that, last year we had 57 nuisance violations. This year we're at 44. So it's good to see that either people took advantage of some of the nice days early on and got things taken care of, or people are just getting on top of things and not creating the violation to start with. So we'll work through those as they come along, and hopefully everybody's and get taken care of. We don't have to go through the whole process we've had in the past. But reminder for the public, dog cat license renewal is due by the end of this month, so June 1, the new license need to be taken into effect. Make sure you have all your veterinary stuff taken care of, and then come to the city and get your license for your animals. Reminder also, May 18th, so this Saturday there is a citywide cleanup kind of thing going on. You can pay to have furniture, TVs, tires, rims, those sorts of things from 9 to 1. Check the city's Facebook page. I think it's probably everywhere on people's Facebook page anyway, but it's a reasonable way to get rid of some of your stuff. So. Any questions?
Chief, since we have the kids here, why don't you explain to them why you have the black sash on your badge?
Yes, so this week is National Police Memorial Week. It's to honor the officers that have died in the line of duty throughout the long history of law enforcement. Yesterday was the official day. We wear the black band across our badge to show that we are remembering the officers that have gone before us. We did lose an officer back in 1922, Officer Anton Gates. He died as a result of an assault. So we are connected in that way to the overall national program, but we have lost Minnesota officers as well, and we just remember them as history goes on.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for what the police department does for our communities. City Attorney report? Is Scott here?
Attorney Demick was not able
Okay.
to make it tonight, but he didn't have anything of significance this past month.
Okay. All right. General fund first quarter financials, Tessa?
Yeah, so for the general fund, it's pretty low so far, both the revenues and the expenditures. Our property taxes and our local government aid come twice a year in June and December. So in the first quarter, we did not have any of those. We have some other administrative charges and animal licenses, which will be coming up in the second quarter and towards the end of the year. For expenditures, those are running low. Our large capital transfers that we make are done in June and December also. The building fees for the building inspector were paid in April, so those were not reflected in the first quarter. And the fire contract payment is made at the end of the year. For MATA, we had some revenue that wasn't budgeted for, and that was related to a Petro Fund fuel reimbursement from the state of Minnesota. The transfers from the general fund and the TIF funds have not been made yet, and there's been really minimal expenses for the first quarter. The ambulance department is running right on track. Revenues are at 24%, expenses are at 22%. As I referenced with the general fund, there are larger administrative transfers done at year end. There were some miscellaneous expenses. They had purchased some new materials that were needed, new washing machines and some repairs. For the fire department, they collect their revenue at year end. So they function off of their reserve fund balances until that part. There were some funds received from the state as well as a sale of an old vehicle. The capital project fund also is running really low. Most of those costs come during the summer months. So overall, everything is looking good for the city finances.
All right. Is there any questions? All right, we're good. Community Development Director, Lisa.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Planning Commission met last on April 29th. There were 4 items that were primarily on the agenda, or 4 projects rather. The first project was related to the Melrose truck repair, and that includes the mayor's lot west of the existing Melrose truck repair facility and the 2 lots that the Norrises own as part of the Melrose truck repair. Currently the mayor's lot is R1 single family residential and guided for mobile home. And the Melrose truck repair is currently guided for commercial, C2 highway commercial. As part of relooking at that area, kind of as the three parcels together, the Planning Commission recommended it be rezoned and re-guided to light industrial. We don't have a light industrial for future land use, so that would be industrial. But the intent is that when we do our new comp plan amendment, that we would then re-guide that also to light industrial. Next, they looked at St. Mary's Church. St. Mary's Church and school, excuse me. The school is looking at adding to their preschool program by adding an all-day component, which essentially adds a daycare element. Because the property is currently zoned R1 single family residential, it's only allowed to have up to 12 childcare spaces, and they would like closer to 40. So the ideal option would be to rezone and re-guide that land to public. It's already mostly guided for public and just still remain zoned residential. There's just a little bit of land on the south portion that was acquired from some commercial properties that is guided for commercial. So the request is to re-guide and rezone all of that as public. Similarly, St. Paul's Lutheran Church has a Montessori program, and they're currently zoned R1 single family residential, and it makes sense to re-guide them to public as well, both for St. Mary's and for St. Paul's Lutheran. All of the uses that they currently do on their properties would be permitted uses. I can back up for just a second. The St. Mary's application does not include land west of 5th Avenue, so it does not include the former church site. It only includes the land that they own east of 5th Avenue. And then the final of the projects is the Duffner or Melrose mini storage facility. When that initially came into being, it was designed originally as storage for the mobile home park, and it was zoned and guided accordingly. It's obviously expanded beyond that, and also the zoning has changed so that zoning designation doesn't actually exist anymore. So it needs to be given a new zoning designation. The Planning Commission reviewed this, and they recommended that it be rezoned and re-guided to light industrial I2. Similar to the Melrose truck repair, there's no future land use that's light industrial, so at this point it would be industrial, and then when we do an amendment to the comp plan creating that district, ideally it would be re-guided then to light industrial at that time. In April, there was a joint MATA City Council meeting where we looked at the Riverview redevelopment project. And as part of that, Bradbury Stam was selected to proceed. We are waiting for the letter to be signed by them and returned to the city. And I think partly they're waiting for the state legislative funds to kind of be wrapped up with knowing whether those funds will be available. Also on tonight's agenda is the outdoor seating ordinance. The Planning Commission held a public hearing in February, and they would like to allow outdoor seating in the right-of-way areas on the sidewalks, as long as 4 feet clearance can be maintained, which is the ADA regulations. So that'll be on the agenda for later tonight as well. Let's see, there's gonna be a public hearing tonight on the 4th Avenue West street vacation and public hearing that basically is related to the Melrose truck repair facility between the mayor's lot that they're acquiring and the existing Melrose truck repair facility. There's a north-south road that's never been improved. We don't see any reason to believe that that will be improved at any point in the future, and so it's being requested to be vacated at this time. Quick overview on building permits. Our numbers are down just a little bit from last year, but we had a couple of really big projects, and it's still early in the year. So numbers are about where we would expect them to be. I'll also mention that St. Mary's is starting their EAW process on the fire damage structure, and as part of that, there's an entire process that they go through where they look at things like the soils and archaeology and the historical aspects and that sort of thing. And so they're asking if anyone has any comments or any specific elements that they want to make sure get covered in the EAW, that you contact me and I can pass the message on to them. The next step will be that they'll complete the EAW, turn it into the city, and then it goes to WSB for them to review and determine whether it's complete. If it's determined that it's complete, then WSB sends it to the Environmental Quality Board for starting a 30-day review process. After that, all the comments will be analyzed, brought back to the City Council, and then the City Council will be responsible for determining whether the environmental aspects are complete, or if any additional research or expanded work is done, such as an EIS. So.
That's a precursor to demolition?
Yes, because it's a historical register building. Yeah. Are there any questions?
No.
I anticipate the planning commission meeting, well, we've canceled the planning commission meeting, I should say, for this month. There's no current action, so the next time the planning commission meets will be next month.
All right, sounds good. All right, it's 6:32. We have a public hearing on 4th Avenue Southwest Street vacation.
And here's the affidavit that's been published in the Beacon.
Okay. Then, Lisa, is there anything else that needs to be said about that?
Unless you have any questions, I can do a brief overview, but I can talk more if you'd like.
Yeah, it's open if anybody has any questions about it. I didn't see anybody in here, but yeah, if anybody in the public has any questions about this public hearing, they can come up, state their name, and talk. Okay, we will be taking action on that next. So then we can close it then? All right, so it is 6:34. Okay, so action item, resolution number 2019-28-A, resolution vacating a street 4th Avenue Southwest located south of 3rd Street Southwest and north of Craft Drive upon petition of a majority of abutting landowner or landowners. Can I get a motion to approve that action?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution number 2019-29, comp plan amending ordinance number 5-16, 2019-1, rezone Mayor's Norris truck repair from R1 single family and C2 commercial to I2 light industrial and amend comp plan accordingly. First action is to give consideration on the resolution number 2019-29, resolution approving comprehensive plan, amending for Mayor's Norris mouse truck repair, case number comp board -2019-501. Can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Second part is to give consideration to adopt the ordinance. Is there any questions or concerns? Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to adopt.
Okay, there's a first. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Resolution number 2019-30, comp plan amendment ordinance number 5-16, 2019-2, rezone Church of St. Mary's from R1 residential to C2 commercial to P public, amending comp plan accordingly. Council to...
That's the resolution that you're voting on.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just slow on turning the page. Can I get a motion to consider adopting resolution number 2019-30?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, can I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then the council to give consideration to adopting the ordinance number 5-16-2019-2. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
Make a motion to adopt.
Okay, 1, 2, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Then C is resolution number 2019-30, comp plan amendment ordinance number 5-16-2019, rezone Church of St. Mary's, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page on this one. Rezone St. Paul's Lutheran Church from an R1 residential to P public. Can I get that motion to consider adopting that ordinance?
Move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then, let's see here. Resolution number 2019-31, comp plan amendment ordinance number 5-16-2019-4, rezone Duffner's Mini Storage Melrose Storage Center from RMH Mobile Home Subdivision to I-2 Light Industrial amending plan accordingly. So,
Motion to amend.
okay, can I get a second?
That's for the comp plan.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then the council give consideration to adopting the ordinance number 5-16-2019-4. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then ordinance number 5-16-2019-5, and ordinance amending Melrose City Code Charter, Chapter 92, right-of-way management resolution to allow outdoor seating on public property, official title of summary.
May I make a couple comments?
Yes.
First of all, we need to establish a permit fee. I would suggest probably perhaps the $15 zoning permit fee would be sufficient. That would be my recommendation. Certainly, we could look at something more along the lines of like an IUP, but that gets a lot more costly, and I think if we want to encourage businesses to do this, perhaps keeping the cost lower makes sense.
Yes.
Also, the question that came up late was whether or not we would like to allow businesses that aren't restaurants to put up benches, or whether we don't. I talked with Gary with the Public Works, and he said he didn't have any issues with that. We probably still want to have a zoning permit, so we have a record of who's got the bench there. There's some provisions that if there's a need to move it out of the way for an event or that sort of thing, we'd then have contact information and such. It's up to you whether you'd like to allow that or not.
This seating is all portable, I believe.
Pardon?
This seating is all portable, it's movable?
Yes, it would have to be removed before the end of, I forget, it's allowed only during non-snow times.
And is it only up during business hours, or is it
I
overnight?
believe it can, it's been a while since we looked at this. I believe it can stay out during basically October, from March 31st until October 31st.
Has this
Hours of
been up?
operation are limited the hours of the food establishment of the business. So we don't require removing it, I don't believe, until the end of the season.
Lisa, has this been a problem, or, I mean, how is this
It-
coming about, I guess?
It hasn't. We just noticed another city had it, and we thought, well, wouldn't this be a nice way to encourage more people downtown, more activity downtown, that sort of thing, just from a community development perspective?
Okay.
Certainly, if you don't feel it's necessary, we don't need to adopt it.
No, I mean, some of the other businesses already, I mean, I know at Lisa's on Main, they had it at one time. I know Ron's have it outside. I don't know if that, does that all qualify, like, they would all have to come in for a permit, no?
Well, if it's in the right of way, if it's on private
Oh,
property, then
okay.
it's not
So
a
only
big
if it's
deal.
in the right of way.
What the benefit of having an ordinance is that you then have a process for them to follow specific rules. They need a food license, they need, there's some liability stuff that if we have an issue, we've got a process for dealing with it, being it is on the right of way.
Question for you, do we see any issues, like if we have storms coming through, not that all of a sudden umbrella flies and goes into somebody else's car on Main Street? I mean, have we looked at that?
We do require insurance, I believe, as part of the ordinance. proof of insurance. But yeah, basically that's not something that's really come up. Obviously, it's a new ordinance, so we used another city's ordinance language and then added some additional language ourselves.
Okay.
But I think that their insurance would cover it just the same as if it was on their property.
I just want to make sure we cover ourselves on that, but yeah, it's a great idea.
And we can make sure and just have the attorney double check that since he's not here tonight prior to adoption.
Yep.
And we didn't discuss it a lot in planning and zoning, but a little bit of a concern was our Chief Mouse's guy's going to have to move these benches out of the middle of Main Street, 4 times a night. So, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yes.
Being there's really no issue with it today. And
No.
only a few people have a bench in front
Right,
of their.
correct.
Do we need to add an ordinance that is, looking at it, it's pretty rigorous as far as, if you want to go put a bench out in front of your store for people to sit on, it's no easy task by the looks of it.
And
So
if I
is this-
remember correctly, I think the impetus in that was kind of a CYA on the off chance that somebody, say like in a wheelchair or something, pitched a gripe, they can say that we have an ordinance, these individuals are in compliance with the ordinance for a bench area, a dining area, whatever, on the outside of their place of business.
Does that put liability on the city for now officially putting on the books to allow that? Whereas if they just put it there, guess what? They put it there. Does that make
Well,
sense?
It's our sidewalk, so I guess
Right.
in essence, but I think because it's our sidewalk, if somebody stumbles on the curb and falls down, hits their head on our sidewalk, we're going to get tangled up in the mess anyway, so.
Right. I guess when we add ordinances and stuff, to put a bench out on, granted it's public right away and it's sidewalk, but you'd hope that they would use good taste and wouldn't have to read through this thing, spend 3 hours studying, okay, exactly what can I do, because it's not exactly easy. You can't just read it and go, okay, put it there, no problem. And then come up and file for a permit, and, it's kind of onerous, if you will, to put a little bench out front.
Chief
And,
Mouse, do you know, does Steam Brew move their little table and chairs in every night? I think they do. I think they're kind of a plastic and they're not terribly heavy, and I think they've been moving them in and out during their business hours they're out.
Right.
Was a food license a requirement? Or can
I
any
don't
business?
remember I don't remember.
A food license is a requirement.
So
in
if you
this.
don't serve food, you can't put a bench out?
Well, and there's some language that we can add pretty simply to clarify that, to allow anyone to have a bench even if they don't serve food. It's just, a few extra words here and there that I've got prepared if that's something that you would like to adopt tonight.
Okay.
But I just wanted to let it be your option.
I don't know.
I think we should make it, make it like this now and say it's a work in progress. I think that there might be tweaks that we might see after a while if we have issues. Let's come back but
Okay.
I think just visit with them, just like you said. I think taste is one thing, not that they're going to put it right next to the curb,
Right.
common sense.
I think if you put a permit fee on it, then you're just gonna drive it away from nobody having seating outside. I mean, even if it's cheap, $15, I don't know, it's still $15. We'll put a bench outside.
Well, I did hear businesses at the Chamber of Commerce meeting that were interested in having a bench outside if it was legally permissible to do so. So there is interest.
Yeah, but I mean, we could make an ordinance without having permitting and then everything. I mean, be no different than the parking ordinance or anything else. I mean, it's an ordinance, fine, you put a bench out there and it just has to be put away from this month to this month and.
Does it have to be permitted? I mean, it's one thing to have an
Right,
ordinance in the books, follow the ordinance, go ahead and do it.
I don't think it has to be permitted.
The reason we went with a permit was if there is a violation, if you do have an issue that continues to come up, then you have recourse for saying, I'm sorry, this is just not working out for your business and we need to not be doing this.
Well,
It's
if
just
there's an
more.
ordinance on the books, you still have to comply with it, right?
True, true.
So whether or not you have a permit to do it, you still got to comply with it. It's just like driving down the street 30 miles an hour. If you're not complying with the speed limit, you get a ticket, right?
Whatever you would like is
So-
fine with me, so it's just something we thought we might want to try.
If we could get it down to a one-page ordinance, in my opinion, that would be helpful. And no permit, that'd be my opinion.
An annual permit with no fee is what you're thinking?
No permit at all. I think you just put the general requirements in the ordinance, and if somebody wants to do it, they look it up and they get their bench put out there according to what it says on the ordinance, in my opinion.
Is that the consensus of the council?
Yep.
What do you feel?
I don't know that there necessarily has to be a fee. If nothing else, I think somebody that's interested in doing that type of thing should be required to come here and at least sign for a copy of the ordinance. We hand it to them, they acknowledge that I got a copy of the ordinance, and they walk out with it. And then they can't say, I didn't know.
I would agree with that. How about you, Jeff?
I think as long as it's open to anybody, any business, and not food specific.
Right.
So if you didn't have food, you could still offer a bench for whatever that's worth. It's just
Yeah.
fair to everybody.
Yeah, I think it's logical. Encourages more.
So we have a
Time spent
consensus that we
downtown.
should have an ordinance. You guys have a feeling that there shouldn't be no cost to the permit?
I don't think there should be permit requirement, but I can see you want to put a bench out, here's a copy of the ordinance.
You gonna follow it? I could go along with that.
But
That would be something that could get put in their mailings every
Yeah.
spring.
So Lisa, so do you get how we sort of want this?
I've
written?
got it. I will bring a revised draft next month and you can take a look at it.
Okay. All right,
good.
thank you. So then we will skip F. Oh, another one, Turkey Lane parking.
Yeah, once again, the
Craig?
city has received some complaints about parking on Turkey Lane. And they're requesting of the city to either limit parking, make it no parking, or reduce the hours.
Before you even say something, Craig, from all the people that I talked to and talking to the businesses there, the consensus that I got from them, the south side, no parking, and then no parking along the Arvig building, but people were okay with the parking like further past the new building of Arvig, that little bit there to the stop sign. That's where I asked people their opinions on stuff, but everybody was saying that whole south side of the road, just because of the semis, that's where people are, the businesses feel a little nervous. But at least we have just, like 5 parking spots left from what would be that old building to the stop sign of Arvig on the north side of the road. So that's what I got. I don't know how you guys feel.
how many parking spots are we talking? Because that kind of, since we're tight on parking anyway, that might make a difference.
There is so much parking. After I looked, just that Arvig parking lot alone,
Well,
they've
that,
been
yeah.
forced to park there, and it's
I'm talking
still
about like
half empty.
customers that want to go do business downtown. They're not going to drive over to our parking lot and then walk downtown typically.
Yeah, you're gonna lose 3 parking stalls, pretty much is what it is.
3?
Yes.
It's not terrible.
But it'll
There's
be-
more parked there than 3 though, typically.
Well,
They're
and
squeezing them in there.
talking with the people there, they're more worried about the cars parked so all over, semi's gotta turn around, and it's just a
Yeah.
matter of time before it ends up
Right.
being an accident.
Yeah, especially if Genio, with some of their plans, you may have a lot more heavy traffic coming down that road.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I feel,
There's currently no spots between the American Family Insurance and to the east towards the plant, correct? Nothing on either side.
there is on that south side, that's where the semis would park, like when they have
That lean-to?
Fulmers.
That open lean-to?
It would be well, that lean-to, yeah, because you can drive into those, so they're sort of in that overhang. So, and then, but, I mean, just that area for the feed mill, and, when the semis are turning off the avenue there onto Turkey Lane, open that up. especially if in the near future with different plans that are coming through. So I'm not saying do the whole south side all the way up to the plant. I'm just saying that frontage area up to the feed mill. But you guys.
What's Chief Mouse's take on
I'm
it?
trying to think how you'd word that ordinance or set up that restricted area if you're not doing a designated block.
Well, I think we could probably just put signs in the ground and just put no parking there. I think we could probably make an ordinance and word it the way we want to word it.
No, we don't have to enforce it. He does.
Signs makes it a little easier to do your job, doesn't it?
Signage would help, but like I said, the ordinance generally spells out from this street to this street or this block to this block is restricted or no parking, as opposed to this 80 feet or whatever it happens to be.
Could it run up to the street at American Family from the stop sign?
Yeah, from, what's that, 2nd Avenue to
Third Avenue.
3rd Avenue.
Would it make more sense to allow parking on the south side of the street because of the way semis turn around? They gotta make wide turns in and out of there, I'm assuming.
But see, they're constantly pulling both ways
Right,
out of the feed mill.
right.
Like you said, we
Alright.
haven't ever had problems until last year.
Make that all mountable curb along there. Got the street torn up right now.
Yeah.
No curb, no parking, right?
Well, it'd just be a whole heck of a lot easier if that whole Turkey Lane from South 2nd Avenue all the way to the corner by the plant, if there was no parking.
It'd be easier, but.
It-
Well,
it may be
it's easier all the way around.
Yeah.
It is until the plant comes back up
Yeah, but
in operation.
but Joe, they have a whole block of parking, the plant does,
No.
across the road.
Where?
To the east of the plant.
To the east of the plant,
Could,
till they come online with their new
Since-
plans. Then it's
But we can always, I mean, we can
change it again.
change it if we need to, if it ends up being a problem.
well, and the street's all torn up right now too, so there's not a lot of parking going on right now, so we could just table this and think about it till next month, right? 'Cause it probably won't be, the street probably won't be done
Mr.
2-3
Middendorf, how
weeks
long is
in.
that project gonna last as far as that
Memorial Day.
They doing some concrete curb tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. You changed some plans?
I don't know. I just know they would really like to have it on the feed mill side,
For sure.
those 3 spots for sure they want.
Well,
Just, it would make it so, that road narrow is so narrow there. I mean, literally when people are parking on both sides, you maybe could squeeze 2 vehicles side by side going through that street. It's gonna be narrow.
right. We can always change it later, but we could start with the south side.
and just post no parking this
Just
side of the
post-
street?
Right. Is that south side of the street between, what is it, 2nd and 3rd? Would that be, is that right?
2nd, 3rd, up to 4th.
It may have to go a bit deeper than that just because of the way that the entrance to the feed mill is in that area. It goes slightly past that 3rd Avenue intersection.
Okay.
So there would be an available spot, roughly, singular spot.
Huh. Orange paint or yellow paint.
So that's where, like I said, it gets interesting on how we'd word that ordinance.
Well, do you want to work on figuring that out, on how to word that, south side?
I
Or,
can create
I don't know if
verbiage, I
Lisa can
suppose.
help with that, or find a landmark or something to put in the ordinance.
And I can review our ordinance if it does have anything in there that just is generally enough to say when signage is posted that there's no parking between whatever the signage is. That might be listed in the ordinance, I'm not for certain on that. Generally, it spells out the exact no parking areas.
Right.
So we'll take a look at it and bring it back for June's meeting.
Okay, so I'm on table G.
With that, the next item, we had an ordinance regarding parking on Second Avenue Southeast. If we do end up amending the ordinance for Turkey Lane, it may be best to do these two together, then we save on publication costs. If you are all okay with tabling 8H as well, and then we can do those.
The question on Second Avenue Southeast, this is the first time we've actually had striping all the way out to the interstate. I don't ever believe we've never had a white stripe along the shoulder for parking, have we?
No.
So that was the idea last time, was if we have striping, now in the winter, if cars are encroaching into, you have to stay without, outside the white line. So that, to me, is a grounds for towing right there if they're parked inside, right? That was a big concern because they were almost parking in the middle of the right lane.
Yeah, with the amount of snow that we had this year and then the times that they had it moved or not moved based on plowing is what brought it out into the roadway too far.
Right.
And that's what the idea behind this restricted parking would be, is that during, like our seasonal parking, November 1 through April 1, that there'd be no parking on Second Avenue Southeast. And then the rest of the year it would be allowed, so summertime, spring, whatever. When we did discuss it with the county, Gary and I met with them and they were open to it. All they need from us, because it is a county road, is to adopt our side of things. It gets brought to the county commissioners. For the most part, they rubber stamp it, and then it comes back, and we're allowed to enforce our ordinance on it. My only concern is if we have winters like we just had, which has been a rarity, a white line is a big benefit for us, but we could still run into some issues. But
Yeah, I didn't know if that gave you enough power to tow if needed to.
we still make the effort to try and work with the vehicle owner to try and get it moved, as opposed to just hooking trucks on and leaving.
On an average year, Gary, how much from the curb do we lose roadway? A foot? I know we plow curb to curb, but it's not.
Try to plow curb to curb.
Right.
You have to get some flowing back, so I would say less than a foot
On each side, on an average year. And this year it was closer to 18 inches to 2 feet.
A lot of it-
Especially late season.
You have to go around vehicles, you can't get that close, and then you get buildup, and then when you come by next time, you always have residue that stays.
And with that as well, Councilmember Hill, the passenger door is swinging open. Of course, if there's a snow pile there, then they're that much further away. So I think that's as big of an issue as well as the amount that we just had. Because if the passenger's got to get out, of course,
There's
then
typically not that many people parked out there, right?
No, it was
So if we passed
truly
it
one
or
household.
made the request, well, we can make the request. If they approve it, then we can take action on it. So we're not technically taking action
They want a
on it.
resolution to, in front of them so that they can do their side of things and then we can
Right.
enact the ordinance side of things.
I don't know. We can try it, see how many complaints we get, I guess, right? No parking.
And the county was willing to put signage up for the city's behalf, as well as we discussed within our offices or within administration that a letter would go out prior to this upcoming season if it was adopted, so that everybody's aware of it in the time frames that's affected by it anyway.
And what are the time frames again?
It'd be November 1st through April 1st, just like our regular snow season.
I'd go fine with that.
All right.
Primarily darkness hours when somebody's parking out there?
No, it varies. Some of the vehicles are there overnight, some are there during the day because the folks work night shift, so it is varying.
So we're just gonna table this too. Okay, so you guys just want to table this then for now?
Well, I think we can go through with this one.
I think we do, yeah. Send it to the county, then they can get it on their next agenda. We're not officially taking action here yet. County has to take action first.
Yeah, so from my understanding, you have to adopt a resolution, and what that all entails.
Oh, okay.
That's,
April 1st or November 1st, April 1st, whatever it is.
You guys good with that?
Yep.
That's fine.
So make the resolution the way you want it, Tony.
I'll adopt no parking between the four-way
so from Main Street out to 4th Street South.
out to 4th Street South.
on
Between-
2nd Avenue Southeast,
Between
November 1st.
November 1st
to
and April 1st. All right,
Okay.
so move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. City Administrator hire. May 9th special joint meeting between the Melrose Public Utilities Commission and City of Melrose offered position of City Administrator Colleen Winter. Consultant Gary Weirs has been negotiating the hiring terms. The terms will be provided once finalized. The council will give consideration of approving the hire of Ms. Winter as negotiated terms. Can you get a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we hire Miss Winter.
I'll second.
Second, first and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Well, welcome to the club here in another couple of weeks.
Get ready.
Yeah. You know what they say, once you get into politics and Melrose, you turn gray, or like me, my hair is just falling out, so. So we're excited to have you on board. Glad you're coming. All right. Ambulance purchase. Jen, you're on the floor. It's not too long, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Past Joe's bedtime.
It is.
All right, so I handed you guys all a packet tonight. I apologize, I was not able to get that information for you when the packets were made. It was a tough week last week with the death of a colleague at work, and so this kind of got pushed to the wayside, and once we were able to, or once I was able to connect back, I was able to get this information for you guys. So a couple of things. We are due January. It's been in the capital plan for our replacement of our 2003 ambulance, which January can't come fast enough because it has been nickel and diming us ever since it was in the accident. It was totaled and we bought it back. We continue to have a lot of issues with it, so it's definitely time to replace that ambulance. I have been working with Everest. We have bought all of our ambulance through them. Used to be Road Rescue, but their name is Everest. We work really well together. They know what we need, nothing fancy, kind of go from one rig to the next on what we need to add, what we need to change, what we need to take out. Last time when we bought the 2017, outlets was a big thing because of all the extra equipment that we carry now with the Lucas battery, the COT batteries, all those things need to be plugged in. So that was something that I remembered on these specs. So I have some prelim specs that I've gotten, and then a quote that I wanted just to get like an estimate quote. It's not finalized. We haven't sat down and, do we need this, do we need that type thing, but I wanted just to show you guys kind of what that estimate quote was coming in at. Like everything has, or prices continue to go up. I believe we have, Tessa, 180,000 in set-asides for vehicle.
Yes.
And this quote came in at 195,000. That is without trade-in, but I will be honest, I don't know what we'll get for trade-in since that rig has been totaled. And we'll be happy enough if they take it and whether they donate it, because the work for us to strip it, take the graphics off, we went through that with the 2017 and that was more dollars than just to trade it in. So that's not on here. If we'll get anything, you can see kind of some of our loyalty discounts that are on there. One of the big things, and it'll kind of go into my next conversation, that ups this price a little bit is, if any of you have been in the back of the ambulance, you have seen that our cots attach to a antler system, they call it. There's a rod in the back and then there's an antler system in the front that holds the cot in place. Those are no longer, like if you have them, you're grandfathered in, but you can no longer put them in ambulances because they will not sustain the crash test. So part of the reason this quote is up a little bit more is my second piece, I'll just kind of talk about them together, is we have an antler system in our 2014 that is broke. So I have to replace that with something. The two options that are out there right now are called a performance load, which is a center mount in the back of the ambulance, which we do all the lifting. And the second option is a power load. The power loads, do all of the lifting for you. There's a piece in the middle of the ambulance that the cot actually comes all the way out of the ambulance, and it's just like kind of hanging in midair. It's got some things that come up from the bottom of the ambulance that hold it up. It'll hold up to 850 pounds, and then you hit a button, the legs come down, and there's zero lifting. So you'll see in that quote that these come in at like $25,000 for these power loads, but to be quite honest with you, we've been fortunate. We have a 75% woman crew, 25% men. Men can lift more usually, but we've been very fortunate to not have any back injuries. But more and more, we're running our crew with 2 people, especially during the day. And so a typical, if you looked at somebody on a back injury, you're looking at a minimum of $70,000. So we have to make a change, like I said, because we have one of the antler systems that's broke. So the 2 things that I'm talking about kind of go together, but with the new ambulance, I have it quoted in there to put that power load in there. So that's why that price comes in a little bit higher.
With the power load, does that work on all levels? I mean, I'm sure you guys don't get a nice level spot.
Yep, what happens is, he actually wanted to come and demo it for you guys tonight, but he couldn't, the striker rep. But what happens is that they match them up with your rig's level. And then when you're on uneven ground, there's 2 eyes that you tilt, like there's like a lever to tilt it, and those eyes will match up, and then it locks in.
Okay.
So, when he demoed it, you know, I pushed the button and the cot came out, and your automatic reflex is to grab it and hold, and he's like, don't touch it. And so it was crazy to sit on there and just kind of be sitting in midair. But I think moving forward, you know, EMTs are getting tougher and tougher to find. It's a tough class to get through. It should definitely be something that we look at in the prevention of a back injury. So that's the first quote, or that's the first piece of my whole discussion. Like I said, I haven't sat down with Everest. We have a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks just to go through the 2017. They come up here, we go through what we like, what we don't like, but this is kind of in the ballpark of where we would fall if we put the power load in that new ambulance. All of the other equipment from suction, blood pressure machines, our Lucas, everything else would transfer over.
Would it be safe to say that it's probably not too far down the road and this power load is going to be a required standard?
Yep.
Just like
at some point it will be. Yep. So that's my first thing. So I guess what I'm asking from you guys on the quote for the ambulance is if I can move forward. The build time, a little bit of history here. Build time used to be 120 days. It's now 190 days. So we're getting closer to January anyways, because we're slotted to buy this in 2020, which would be January. The E450 chassis that we have in our other 2, our 2014 and our 2016, in 2020, Ford will not be making any rigs. They're switching in 2021 to a V8 gas engine model. So they're switching a whole bunch of stuff in the engine. So he was glad we were due for one coming up versus that following year, because we would have had to wait another year. So for that piece, what I'm asking is if I can move forward with Everest and finalize up the specs, or if you guys need me to come back with that exact quote.
So this is for gas, not a diesel?
Yes, all 3 of ours will be gas.
Okay.
Our 2003 is the only diesel one right now.
Okay. Any additional problems with the gas? I'm assuming they're just as reliable as the diesel, if not more reliable.
They're just not as loud.
Not
But
loud,
no,
yeah.
we have no issues.
And you
And they'll
kind-
all 3,
Gas maintenance should be a lot less than
Yeah.
diesel.
Yeah, and then now with the new standards with the DEF system and all that,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just another thing they have to worry about.
Right.
yeah, and all 3 will be basically the same truck.
And you'd like to get this put together and let within the next 10 days to 2 weeks, give them 2 weeks so you can accept and get it rolling?
Yeah,
So like
just
you-
because we're up to that 190 days.
Yeah, 'cause that's gonna push
And
you
that's
right
just
up.
getting it to Everest, and then it's all the radio, the graphics, all that on top of it yet, so.
Are you gonna name it
Everest
after
has
Lori?
been, sorry, Joe?
Are you going to name it after Lori then?
Number 36.
Sorry, that
That's okay.
Well, I think that the funding is there, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to make a motion, or I'd like to at least allow the ambulance service director to go ahead and push forward by letting bids on a new rig with the power load cot assist.
I agree. Yeah, first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Now, are you going to start looking at doing all the other rigs with that then too?
So
right?
that's kind of my next topic. The 2014 is the ambulance that we have to do something to, because that's the antler system that's broke. So there's two different ways of looking at this. I gave you guys a quote from Everest, because that's who would mount them or put them in for us. So the initial quote for the cost of the power loads, which is the $23,500, that came from Stryker, but the quote that you guys have is from Everest, because they'll put them in. So it's with the installation fees. We have all 3 power cots in all the ambulances, and 2 of them, they're good for 7 years. 2 of them are going to have to be replaced come January. They'll be 7 years old. One has 10 hours on it already, and one has 8. And if you think about like, well, how much is 8 or 10 hours? It takes 6.8 seconds to go up and down with a cot. So I think it comes out to be like 5,290 times that cot went up and down. So that's why they give it like 7 years or 10 hours. It's kind of the max. So if we keep our current cots and you guys approve the power loads, I need to spend about $4,000 to get an upgrade kit to make these cots work on that power load. Or we can trade in our cots. They would give us $2,500 a piece, so $5,000, and replace our cots now with the power loads, instead of getting the power loads now and waiting till January for the cots. Does that make sense?
Yeah, do you think you'd want to try to, I have no problem with it. Do you want to try to go after the Lions in that? I know they are very helpful with this stuff, or is that just sort of out of their realm, or?
No, it's hard for me with like the money that we have set aside,
Okay.
It's hard. I don't mind going and asking for donations for it. I know, I have no doubt we would get money. My opinion is, don't waste the $4,000 on an upgrade kit when in 6 months that upgrade kit basically goes in the garbage. If we have to replace the cots, because that's another thing. If you get in an accident, they'll look at the year of them and how many hours, and we'll be held liable if we don't replace them. The 3rd cot is not due until 2023. And that's the cot that will go into the new ambulance, so it'll have the power load anyways.
So 40, if I'm looking at this correctly, 47,000 will put a new cot and a power load in both the 16 or
No, it would
the
be-
14 and the 17?
So the cots is your Stryker quote. The cots are $37,000. That's your 3rd attachment that I gave you. The one that says Stryker on it. So the 2 cots would come with the trade-in value, would be $37,306. Do you see that quote?
Maybe not.
It's the second page of that one's under,
Oh, okay.
of the one you just had.
And then each power load is the $23,557, so it's $47,037, so $84,000 to replace all of that.
Okay.
So if you guys approve it, I still can work with Tessa to do like donation letters, because it's been a long time. I actually think the last time we did donation letters was when we bought our cots initially, so that would be 7 years ago. And, whatever we get, we could put back into that fund. But
So for all 3, so we would update the
The other 2
old one we're
ambulances.
gonna trade in?
No.
Nope, so the 2003 ambulance, that cot that's in there, will get upgraded with the new ambulance. That's already in the quote.
Oh,
That's in the ambulance
So this is for the
quote.
other 2.
So
So it's basically 40-some thousand per cot,
Mhm.
because you're upgrading the
With the power load.
mounting system inside.
Okay. All right.
We got to go into the cot building business.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but they've been.
Medically certified.
Yes. Well,
Who's gonna-
They're not cheap, but like I said, if you think about that, how many times, you know, you take 900 runs over a year, or over 900 runs, how many times they go up and down, they can only last.
well, the ambulance is a great asset to the community. We are lucky to have you.
So you've got one that's broken now. It has to be repaired. It has to be repaired
Yep.
soon, so
So-
that definitely needs power load.
Yep, I just, throwing that, you know, it's only 4,000, but to throw 4,000 away when January, we have to get new cots. Either way, I'm fine with it, but we do have to get the upgrade kits if we do the power loads this year and the cots next year. But we have a $5,000 trade-in on the cots and the 4,000 for the upgrade kit, so a little over 9,000 that would be saving.
And it's not that we run 3 very often, but it doesn't make sense to have 3 when one of them can't leave the garage.
Right.
How many suppliers are there? Obviously, it's a Stryker cot.
Yeah.
Is there any, is that directly through Stryker then? So there's not outlets that's...
It's a compatibility, yeah, and they do that, just, like, they make them compatible to their power load. I wouldn't be able to go and get a Furno power load and match our cots,
Right.
so.
I'm just trying to think if there's any other, this is one of those high dollar costs where you get one quote. Well, is it really competitive in the market?
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that does cots like that, or?
Well, Furno is the other.
Furno is the other.
Furno's the other, and that's who we used to have with our
Right.
power cots, but they're so much heavier.
Oh, they don't have
And
this
that's why
power
we
lift
switched
deal.
to the Stryker, 'cause-
But I believe the one needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed soon. And if it's going to be fixed, fix it right. Go with the power load, and the new cot.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do you have any other services that you know of that are using those?
almost everyone.
Oh, okay.
Because
Well, that's good to know.
it's not mandatory yet, but Maple Lake last week, let's play around with it a little bit just to see.
Yeah.
And that's.
Because, anything new, there may be bugs in it. and
Yeah, no, these,
So,
They've been out
these
for a
were
while.
out there when we bought our cot 7 years ago.
oh,
And I didn't even think, like, I'm not gonna ask for that much, I'm not gonna ask to spend that much money, we're fine with what we have.
Right.
But as we're running with a 2-person crew a lot of days, because we send 2 on one rig and then we keep 2, to have a backup. It's,
okay. Sounds good.
All right.
No,
Make a motion to approve we already did the new rig, right?
yep.
Yeah, new rig's done,
The power cot and the power load.
the power load and the
Upgrades.
cots.
Just
Yep.
update them, and then I'll
Okay.
make sure that I work with Tessa, because I'll be honest, I did not know the 7-year, 10-hour thing, or we would have had these, like, noted, so
Depreciated
like, in
already.
3 years, that one cot will have to be replaced, because it'll be that 10-year or 7-year mark. So we'll make sure that we get that in our plan for every so often.
All right. Who made the motion?
don't,
All right,
I'll
who's-
second.
Second, okay, first, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carried. Thank you, Jen. Thank you for all you guys do. Ladies do then. Okay, old business, the HVAC update.
Yeah, this is just a slight update. The Daycon units that we had quoted on our HVAC project were delayed. We were given the option of York equipment, but it wasn't as efficient and it was heavier. So we're going to continue with the Daycon units and wait, so that will just delay the project a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Mr. Nielsen, 2019 street improvement.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we did add some sidewalk on 2nd or 3rd Avenue between the hardware store and the State Farm building. There was a gap in there that was bituminous, was not ADA compatible. Originally, we were going to leave it in there. I think Gary does the snow plowing in there, and it's getting in tough shape from him running the loader over it. So we had added that to the project at a cost of approximately $6,600. And then a question came up this morning from an RBIG staff member down there on Turkey Lane. We were adding sidewalk, and then there was a little bit of boulevard area yet that used to be turf, so we were gonna put sod back in there. They requested that be paved with concrete. Because it's outside of the right-of-way, I don't think it's an eligible city cost, so we had told the employee at Arbig that we could get it run through the contract if they would pay the additional cost. Because we were originally going to decide it at a cost of about $1,300, I think that we could kick in that portion towards the 6-inch concrete block. So the total cost of that would be $2,831. So with the council's permission, I guess because of the deduct for the sod, we thought that Arbig should pay the city directly and we would pay the contractor. So with the council's authorization, we would move forward with that, and upon signature by Arbig, that we would get that paid.
Okay. I do have one question. The sidewalk project going out to the new plant. Do you know what the status
They were talking about June 1st.
to start?
After Memorial Day starting.
Okay.
So I can get an update on that, and I'll shoot out an email.
Sure.
But, that's the last I heard, that they were looking at that. So.
Yeah, I just had a couple employees up at the plant ask me, and I said I'd ask you. Sorry, I should have did it this morning, but I didn't.
Oh, that's all right. The other thing, I guess, it's not on the agenda, but an update on the Rock Arch Rapids. We did meet with the LCCMR staff members today. Todd Hummer and I went down just to kind of update them on that we're going to update our work plan. So we need to get that turned in to them. And then they also requested or let us know that we probably would need to present again at the June 5th board meeting. So Tessa, get your speech ready. So I'll give you a call tomorrow. We'll kind of go over what we need to do.
Okay.
But generally, they prefer that a staff member present and not a consultant. So that always goes over better. So they were favorable. I mean, we discussed that we wanted to hold off on any further design work until the grant funds were available as of July 1st. So the board was kind of looking for some answers to the hydraulic questions that the DNR was asking, but we told them that typically we're not ready to permit with an LCCMR project until further on down the timeline. So staff seem to be okay with that, so hopefully they'll be supportive at the hearing. So with that, I think that's all I've got on the downtown project. They're hoping to start paving the bituminous after Memorial Day, so that should probably 3 days of paving, and that should be done. All the roads have been reclaimed. Fifth Avenue, south of Craft Drive, is about 3/4 done with the subgrade excavation and bringing the gravel back in. So that's moving along pretty well, and the trees are all cleared, and I think most of the stumps are ground down, slash or grubbed out. So, are there any questions on that project?
No, we're good. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. New business, Country Club Trail. Who wants to talk on that? Gary?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just let you know that I did get a couple quotes for completing the Country Club Trail. It's approximately 865 feet. We're looking at putting in 265 feet of 4-inch bituminous, and that's by the save where the driveways are, and the one driveway by the Boomerang. The reason we're doing that is I met with the gentleman from Maidstone, and they run semis into that Saves parking lot, and we felt that it would be adequate to put a little bit heavier bituminous. We intend, as staff, to do most of the sub-cutting and adding the class 5. We can have probably a $6,000 to $8,000 cost savings. The numbers I got, I'm assuming everything goes well, we can probably complete that project for a little under $20,000. Parks Board approved up to $25,000. Is there any questions? We did get a quote from Melrose. They're going to do the concrete work. We have, I believe there's 10 beaver tails to put in. Right now, they're just basically cut off from previous projects on the curbs, and then we're going to put an ADA ramp in on the west portion where it crosses to the park.
Would you say west portion of the park? Something about west portion of the
It
park?
goes to the west portion of the trail,
Oh, right.
where we cross to the new bituminous that was put in.
Yep, between the apartments.
To the Melrose Park.
Any chance we want to talk about completing the loop in Meadowlark Park? Bring that up again? Since it was on the,
That was to the Parks Board, and at this time, their interest was basically to get this project completed first.
yeah, this goes back about 10 years. I think we had it in the capital improvement plan. And something happened with this trail. I don't want to bring up old issues here, but something happened with the trail on the east side.
It's been talked about though, because.
Right.
You can't blame that one on me.
No, I can't blame that one on you, but it was, the comment was that since that trail didn't happen, we're not doing the trail in Meadowlark Park. So, here nor there. What I was gonna say is that there's a lot of interested people out there that would like to see that completed, because there's a lot of people that walk, and it's just a short distance to complete that trail in the park. And there's a lot of retirees over there, and they walk in the park, and they go down one way, they go back the other way. There's a lot of kids that bike back and forth. And there's probably a lot of people that would actually throw a little money into it just to get that trail done. So I'm just saying, if we're gonna be working on the trail over there, maybe same team could do that if we would raise a little money to help make it happen.
Is it reasonable, Gary, to, between you and Mike, just try to come up with some sort of a quick cost
I
estimate?
already have that. The cost approximately to do the 450 feet by 8 feet wide bituminous at 3 inches would be about $6,440. To do the dirt work, about $7,200. And that, we could do most of that in-house.
Right.
So we figure a couple thousand for a class 5.
For class 5, so.
So you
We
could
did apply
complete
for
that.
a grant earlier this year from Secretary for that, and we were unsuccessful.
Oh, yeah.
So roughly 8,500 to complete that. 400 feet, you said?
450 feet,
Okay.
8 feet wide.
Well, if, I don't know what's the time frame on that trail.
I guess we're going to get it done this year.
Okay.
You know, we have
Sometime during the summer.
Yeah, we have the zip line, and we have a bunch of projects we're currently working on, and we will get it worked in.
If, I
You
don't
wanna
know.
head that up and see if you
I'm
can?
gonna pass the word around if people wanna pitch a little money in, and we'll see what we can raise. See if the city will match something or whatever.
Is it
I've been a hardcore.
cheaper to do it now than, I mean,
If you-
I got 2 quotes. One
if you
is
bundle all the
currently
tar
with
together.
a contractor in town, and the other is another contractor that's does a lot of work in town, and they're very, very similar quotes.
Right.
but I mean, if we were to only do one now and then say this fall you do the other, I mean, obviously if they have to come into town twice, would there be more cost then?
Yeah, I could check into that for you.
Okay.
There would be a difference in cost.
Do you think it might be
I mean,
something?
it might be a selling point, that's what I'm saying.
Want to work on it?
Yeah, I'll
Maybe
pass the word
if
around.
something goes
If,
on next month, they could bring it back, see how
Yeah.
much you could potentially raise.
Right.
I'm open, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'll bring back, see what I can find out, see how many people are interested in participating.
Okay. I'm cool. I'm good with that.
You're okay with that? Travel
Yeah.
forward?
All right. So should we just, let's see here. We got to vote on that?
Told we should approve it.
Okay. So, do you want to make a motion then?
Do you want to make some stipulations on the additional trail? Say, raise 25 or 30%?
Well, we really
40%
can't do
of
it anymore at this meeting because it wasn't on the agenda, right?
I'm not,
That
Well, basically-
Meadowlark trail or whatever, or bring it back next month on the agenda,
We could
discuss
take
it.
it back to the Parks Board, that's probably where it
Yeah.
should go first.
Well, the only reason I question that one is because it was on the capital improvement plan before we brought the Parks Board back. We brought the Parks
There
Board
was a
back.
past history in that. I'm
We brought the
willing
Parks
to-
Board back, and they killed
Yeah.
it because.
Yeah, there was some,
For a reason I
But
won't
Tony,
say
that was a
anything.
long time ago, and that's gone. I mean, I've been in these meetings, and
and you know what,
It's
I'm not
already been
afraid
talked
for it
about
to
that
be
they
brought to
wanna
the
do that,
council.
Yeah.
It can be brought back to the council if you have
Yes.
any troubles with the Parks Board. I'm willing because I know the past history.
Yes, all right.
The
And I
next Parks
talked
Board
about
meeting
the
would be
district.
June 24th, 25th. So then that would be the July council if you
Right.
wanted to bring it to the Parks Board
I
first.
mean, I'd be willing to bring it up to, you can put it on the agenda if we need to, if there was
Yeah,
an issue.
no,
And
that's fine.
And I believe Gary said that you were thinking, and I'm not holding you to this, but you were thinking that with the city maintenance doing some of the dirt work and stuff, you were closer to 20,000.
Yes.
We're budgeted for 25. We're
Right.
thinking about 85 for that other strip. So,
you raised
we're getting pretty close.
All right, $3,500, give or take.
And it would
So we
make
can-
if you're gonna be in there grubbing around.
Right.
You got trucks hauling bituminous and rolling it out, do it all in one shot if it's.
You got the trail
if-
paver
if,
there.
If we're that close.
I mean, I'd be willing to vote on it if you can raise that 35. I'm pretty sure I would have no problem saying yes, overruling them if I had to.
Okay. Sounds good.
So do you want to approve what the,
Yeah, we need to approve this budget up to $25,000.
So move.
second.
Okay, first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Fifth Street North project.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Fifth Street North was on the capital improvement program for resurfacing in 2018. November of 2017, we looked at cost, provided you with a short report. At that time, the council decided to postpone the resurfacing until after the bridge was constructed, so as that we didn't run additional detour traffic on a new street. So looking at the bridge project and the Rock Arch Rapids, probably the earliest we're looking at construction would be 2021 and potentially even later. The condition of that road, I think Gary has some serious concerns that it won't last through another snow plowing season without some serious patching. So if the council would consider moving that up to next summer for reconstruction, I would recommend that we televise the sanitary sewer prior to starting the design on that roadway. So we're not looking for any authorization to start design, but if you think that you'd like to move ahead, we would probably just have Tim Vogel get the televising done on the sanitary sewer and see what kind of condition that's in.
Yeah, I would. And I hope the citizens of Melrose would drive on the road. I did drive on there, Gary, after the fact. Yeah.
I drove it today. It's getting there. It's
Yeah.
pretty tough shape.
It's kind of fun swerving, missing all the broken up asphalt.
So, yeah, I'm willing to look at that. So,
Okay, I'll ask Tim to get the televising then completed, and we'll take a look at
Okay.
it.
And then Tessa, could you look at the budget, make sure that road budget will support that next year, right?
Was,
Or 2020.
was the long-range plan to
We've been pushing it
replace
back.
water and sewer?
Yeah, I
Were you
know.
planning
Yeah, I
on
just
going
wanna make sure
that
that-
deep? Or it just depends on how it looks?
Yeah, at that time, no, we weren't looking at replacing water main. The sanitary sewer was not previously televised. Tim thought it was okay, but I'm a little bit more maybe conservative in taking a look at it. I just don't want anything to collapse in 5 years and have to go dig a big hole up there. So I think the money is well spent in looking at that.
yeah.
All right.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Okay, 10C Planning and Zoning Consultant, action, the council to give consideration to entering into a proposed contract with Brown and Associates. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Let's see here, phone system update, the council, you.
So, I believe our phone system is original to the building. They, we had it in the 5-year plan in 2016 and it wasn't updated then, so they're all starting to fail
Fail.
and not be supported. We were quoted two options, one to purchase that had an upfront cost of about $9,000, and our bills would actually go down because they'd be doing an internet upgrade, and we're utilizing the fiber that was just done. The other option is a lease option, so our upfront cost is only $1,200, and our monthly phone bills would be about the same. The Public Utility Commission did approve at their meeting on Monday night to upgrade, and the recommendation was to go for the lease option, which is what staff is recommending as well.
And lease option, you have issues.
So that
yeah,
way, if we need new
everything's covered.
phones,
Right.
if we have any issues, they're all replaced. So otherwise, we'd have to continue to buy new phones if we had any issues with them.
Does it cover anything as far as, yeah, I'm sure they're all under warranty, obviously, because they're being leased then. But as far as IT, you get a glitch and now they're IP phones, so right on the same network as your data.
This is a managed, it's managed.
So it's
network.
managed, okay. All right,
Ms.
that's what it's-
Tessa, under this lease option, am I reading this right? $3,000 a month is what
Yeah.
Arvig charges?
It's for all of the phone lines throughout the,
That
To
is the
different
City and that's
city
the water
buildings and
tower.
internets and,
That is the phone bill, that's the internet bill, that's, I mean, that's, everything would be included. And that would also, I did a little research before I came in here with that, is they'd be going from, I don't remember what your guys' speed of internet is now, but it'd be doubling.
yep,
So
it
you get 100
increases our
meg, 100
internet
meg,
speed.
your
Do
internet speed.
do we
instead
need
of-
100 meg?
well, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking that's
Probably not.
$36,000 a year for phone service and internet? You know, it's the only game in town, but God, that seems like a lot. Seeing as how I can't get my council minutes at home because the password doesn't work.
But Bunker, that's also covering all the other exchanges too.
Yeah, I know.
So-
It's a lot of money, though, you gotta agree.
Is there,
$36,000 for
since we're
phone
going
and
IP,
internet.
I mean, Charter supplies a phone option too, right?
I think Joe and I are gonna stay in our boats on this one, but
Well, yeah, I know, there's a little,
I'm just,
Little
you guys
conflict there,
can
but
go on quotes and I agree.
and I
it is
believe we did
expensive,
go
but-
out, we used to have Charter
right, internet.
for internet.
Right.
And we had gone out for quotes last year, I think, and Arvig was the
Still
lower
low, okay.
option. And for us, it's found to be easier to have it kind of
Oh,
combined.
that's a lot easier.
Because you call one and they say it's an issue from the other. So we found it easier to have it all in-house, and since they do our IT solutions as well.
How about we go with it this year, and then next year we see if we can get multiple quotes from whoever will provide phone service for us.
Okay.
How's
So
that
you're
sound?
looking to upgrade the phone system.
I think so, it
And
sounds
then-
like it's needed and they're pretty old
You know,
already, so.
you answer a call and it takes so many times for it to connect and dial tones aren't going. It's a matter of time.
That
before
sounds
they're
like
gonna
the
go.
PBX or something, whatever's on the back and not the actual phone.
I don't-
Because it averages out whether we lease it or we buy it, because we got $9,000 to buy the
with
equipment,
buying
and
your
$2,700 a month for services, or $1,200 if we lease it outright, and then $3,000 a month for services.
Yeah, because they're leasing lines now actually from us, from Arvik to all these other buildings too, where then they won't have to use that.
That's a really good question. So when you say leasing lines, does Arvik have fiber between our buildings that we're leasing?
We do,
Yeah.
and they also are leasing copper lines to make the
Okay.
old phone system work. So you guys can extension dial between each other.
So is that, obviously that will go away
You don't need that.
because it's
That's
over
included.
IP.
Right. So
Should have
it's-
really been asking what the lease lines.
And I know we got to upgrade, and I guess it makes some difference. It just,
The lease
when I
lines were
first
60.
looked at that, it's like,
Yeah.
that's a hell of a lot of money.
That's not too bad.
It just seems like to me.
I mean, that
Oh, that's
was,
easy, no. Just like, yeah. 5-year contract, that's a long contract. Wait, can you stay on it for one more month? The phones? I mean, this doesn't have to be done this meeting, but, right?
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't delay it another year. I
Yeah.
think a month would be okay, but I've
The-
found they've been getting.
The only
worse,
reason
and
I'm
we're
asking
kinda
is
on
I
our
would-
last leg.
I might request to look into what they're proposing, just because I do have a little background in it. I wouldn't mind knowing a little more about it, because there are multiple different lots of different phone solution options out there, so.
String in a can, not one
I
of them.
don't know if I really want to get into how complicated our system is, because obviously we have multiple locations and it's all got to ride over the network and.
Yeah, and this is, the only reason why this is the best option, I'm not trying to sell this, but over a regular phone system is, a regular phone system, like we sell Panasonic phone systems, I mean, you're looking at an upfront cost of 30,000. I mean, I'm just
Right.
throwing a number out there, it could be that high.
Right.
And then you own it, where this is, there is no installation costs to it really, besides us coming and putting the network switches in and plug it in, so.
Right.
But
But
he
you're
does
stuck
have
with
he does have a
$5 though.
breakdown of the whole thing, because
Okay.
that's where I got my list of.
That would be nice to
numbers from.
see, I guess. I don't know, maybe it's
It
here
was-
probably.
So Tony, do you want to do some
Attached,
research on it this month?
I would might take a little better look at it just to make sure it makes sense.
Yep.
Because as Bunker is saying, it is a lot of money per year. so.
And that is also the reason why they
I'm
upgraded
gonna
the
find
internet
out.
in that cost, because it is IP based,
Right.
so you don't want to be using your bandwidth on your computers.
QoS. Quality of service. Prioritize phone. Phone,
All right.
voice, video.
So we'll table it. You go ahead.
Okay.
Please do research.
All right.
Let
I'll
us
do
know,
that.
please.
Yeah. Hang in there for one more month.
I'm good with that.
All right.
You want to make a motion to table that then?
I'll motion to table it.
Okay, if there's first, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Part times.
Next option, street and parks maintenance worker Alan Wilbeck submitted his notice of retirement effective June 14th. Spoke with Gary, and that position is needed in the same capacity as now, which is about 1,600 hours a year. So we're just looking to get approval for posting and backfill that position.
Well, first, I want to congratulate Mr. Wolbeck. Congratulations on his retirement. That's fantastic. So thank you for what you've done for the city. Yeah, it definitely needs to be, they need the help. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Informational item, Utility Commission meeting minutes, State Farm grants, schools and conferences, the Minnesota Department of Revenue correspondence on the volunteer tax preparation program. And anything else there? And just to let people know that the city of Melrose is having their golf scramble on June 14th. If anybody's interested in sponsoring, just contact City Hall. We are low on teams, so if anybody wants to put a team together, we'd love to have you. So just give us a call at the city, 256-4278, and they will set you up. If not, anything else? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Can I get a second? All right, first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, meeting's adjourned.